Friendship supreme. Friendship supreme. Finding the geek within.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael.
This is Cleve.
This is Stephanie.
And welcome back to another exciting episode of Friendship
Supreme.
Or the podcast that dares to ask, if you were to kill a giant, how would you do it?
Bullet.
With antidepressants.
With my heart.
Oh. Dang, heartbreaker.
What are we talking about today, Cleve?
Today we are talking about the movie and the graphic novel, I Killed Giants.
Not to be confused with Andre the Giant.
Or the San Francisco Giants.
Or the New York Giants.
Or that movie about a giant.
No, we're talking about that.
No, the Iron one.
Iron Giant. That one.
I knew what you were going for.
Yeah. The one that was specifically about a giant the whole time.
that was Iron? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, we're not allowed to talk about the Iron Giant during this one. That's in our Stargirl review that we talked about.
Ooh. Little
crossover episode.
Little Easter egg for the fans that are listening to the Starstruck.
Yep, so we're talking about...
Yeah, get the camera a little lower.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, make
her dance. Make her dance.
Truffle shuffle. Yeah, we're talking about the movie. Cleve made us watch it. What made you want to watch it? Where did this come from?
I was on YouTube, as quarantine people do, and I was watching someone talk about their favorite graphic novels that are not Marvel and DC. Because sometimes it's nice just to read others. And I also don't want to pick one up that's going to suck. So I Killed Giants came up, and he mentioned that it was, I wish I could remember who the YouTuber was, but he mentioned that they made a movie, and I remember seeing the movie on Hulu, and I know you guys like free things, so we watched the free movie.
We do like free things.
Because it came out in 2017.
17?
Yep, and that's right up Hulu's alley.
Hulu knows what you want. You want those B-grade movies that came out within the last 4 years.
Although you know what's real fun is when you pay to see a movie and then it comes out on Netflix for free anyway.
Yep. Or when they hit you up with like, I got mail or you got mail. Like, yeah, man, no, I don't. What year was this? I don't want this movie.
Nobody wants to watch this movie anymore. We're good.
You got mail? That's a treasure, a national treasure.
But if you want to watch it, you already own that movie.
We've already talked about this, Stephanie. You shouldn't own any kind of physical media anymore. Welcome to the 21st century.
Buck Rogers.
Okay, so YouTuber saw it, said he liked it. You said, I'm going to watch it. And then you said, hey, friends, watch this.
Actually, I took a shot in the dark, and I made us watch it without actually knowing if it was good or not. The YouTuber is Near Mint Condition.
Near Mint Condition? Okay, so opinions? Cleve and Stephanie already have assumed that I hate this movie. They both were messaging each other about
Especially since we like it. Actually, Derek even said, Michael's not going to like this one. As soon as the movie ended, he said, this isn't why
I will say not hate, because I think, and Stephanie, I think we can go back and look. I want to say that I said Michael will appreciate the story. I just don't think he'll enjoy it.
It's fair for them to assume this, and I think it's because I've given the impression that I only like happy movies. And that's not necessarily the case. I do agree that I go to movies to not be depressed. Yes.
Did you give the impression, or did you flat out say?
I flat out said it. But no, so here's what I mean by that, though. I don't go to a movie to watch a depressing movie. Like The Wilder People.
It's not a depressing movie.
You know what's funny? So, funny enough, as much of a hard time as I've given you about that movie, I've suggested it to no less than 5 people.
Why? You don't
because
like
I think
it.
they'll like it. because I can see why it was an enjoyable movie, and I think they'll like it.
That's how I think you feel about this one. That's honestly how my thought process was, is that you'll appreciate the story for what it was, but
I'm all about a good up and coming story. Like, I'm all about a survival, like overcoming obstacles kind of movie. I'm on board for that. Would I rather watch Trolls? Yes. Absolutely.
God,
Because who doesn't want to watch Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendrick basically just sing a bunch of karaoke hits? Well, right, but you know what?
For those listeners, Cleve and I both raised our hands.
Yikes, dog. No,
I guess I'll give their opinion first.
I'll go first. So, I actually really liked it. I think it was a great movie. I will probably never watch it again. It is not on my list of movies that I have to go back and watch again, but I can easily go into it and say, hey, you should watch this movie. I asked Katie, I said, Katie, watch this movie with me. I have to watch it, and apparently it's going to be a movie that I don't want to watch, so please watch it with me. And she's like, no, I'm good. So I watched it by myself.
Good wife.
And I finished it and went downstairs, made dinner, looked at my wife and said, you know what? You should really go watch this on your own time. And she said, what do you mean my own time? I said, well, I'm not going to watch it again, but it was good. No, I think it was, I was saying before we started recording, and I probably should have held it on until now, but I was saying I equate this to a very similar concept like Sucker Punch or Pan's Labyrinth, and that we use a fantasy world to handle traumatic stress, and I think that is a very fascinating coping mechanism that I genuinely believe is something that's really used by people that are dealing with traumatic things. And I thought it was cool. Plus, I liked the I'm trying to remember his name right now, the hammer. Kovalevsky?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked the hammer. I liked the hammer when it was this small, too.
That was funny. Stephanie, thoughts?
I thought it was good. We talked about how we thought, or Clay and I, when we talked about how Michael was not going to like the movie, how it was slow in the beginning.
Oh.
And it was kind of just like, I don't know about this movie. It's so slow. Derek actually watched it with me, which he doesn't always watch all the movies I watch for this podcast. But he was interested in it when I started watching it. He's like, oh no, I want to watch that. And it was kind of slow for a while, but then once the story started getting good, it was really interesting how she coped with her mom and how they made this her. You know, the reason why she didn't go upstairs was because there was a monster, and it was just her mom, and she didn't want to deal with it.
Spoiler stuff.
Fine.
It should be said that this whole episode is probably going to be
it's a spoiler.
So.
But it was interesting, and I kind of liked how they left the ending with. I mean, you kind of don't know if giants are real or not.
So yeah, so I will say, I think that I wouldn't go out and watch this again. Like I wouldn't come home and put it on. But if Michael or Stephanie, if you had never seen it, I would probably put it on and sit there with you and watch it. You know what I mean? Like to. Because I feel like this, if you don't have it to someone to experience with and conversate with, it isn't as good as just watching it by yourself. Because for a while, Jennifer and I were talking, because there's a point where you go, okay, are the giants real, or is it just her imagination?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys ever felt like that could have been maybe possibly real, but
I mean,
the whole time I really hoped it was.
Yeah, it's kind of like you hope it's real because you can tell that she's going through it. And you don't really know why for most of the movie, and then you kind of figure out.
It's real hard to root for her, like, for sure. Also, another reason why I think I might watch the movie with you is because if I sent you to watch this movie, there would have to be that, hey, it's going to be slow. But just sit through it, hold on, and the end will be the payout at the end will be worth it.
What I found to be interesting is because both of you guys had said it was slow, and I remember that group chat, and I don't know that I felt it was slower than any normal like build up in a movie for me.
Okay.
Like done to a point where it would turn me off.
Yeah.
Like from the movie. Yes, it was slow, but I felt like it was just development, I guess. But it was also building the whole suspense of like, is this real? Is it not real? Kind of shit.
Well, it was like boring. Everything that was happening before, it was kind of her talking about it, and the normal family life. Well, normal family life,
Yeah.
and when you have a movie called I Killed Giants, and when you go to click on the movie, there's a poster of a little girl with rabbit ears holding a huge hammer and a massive giant in the back.
It is extremely misleading.
Yeah,
it's a 100% different movie than what I expected going into this. When you suggested this movie to me, and it might be because we've been watching a shit ton of anime lately. When you suggested this movie to me, I'm like, man, I'm going to go into this. Here's this little crazy ass girl with basically looks like Louise from Bob's Burgers. She's gonna go ham on some giants with a giant fucking hammer, and we're gonna be just going ape shit. And I was on board. It was 100% a different movie than what I was expecting.
Yeah, it was not that at all.
Especially when you open with seeing a giant's hand, and then all of a sudden it just like it goes.
Yeah, it is weird to show us a giant.
Until it starts seeing giants again, and you're like, oh, okay.
Well, it is weird if you think about it, because like it would make sense from a photography trying to tell a story. It would make sense to show us giants when she's involved in the story, but when she's not on screen to show us giants, it doesn't make as much sense. Like if you're trying to do they're not real. It would make a lot of sense for them to just never appear unless she's on screen, because then when she's on screen, it makes sense that they're appearing.
Well, I feel like they did, because there was at one point where she like tried to chase one down, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like she could see it from a distance, but of course never got it.
Right. No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, had the one scene that Stephanie's talking about is the only scene that felt confusing in regards to whether or not the giants were real, because she was not on the screen. She had left. She left her goo on the tree and left. And he was already like touching it and stuff. And it showed you and him, or like it showed you him playing with the tree. So it's weird to show that imagery when she's not involved, because the idea would be that, again, I go back to Sucker Punch. They were only seeing the weird shit that they were seeing because she was going through a traumatic time, and that's what she was having to see. But whenever she was being taken out of the picture, suddenly we saw what was really going on in the room. I don't know.
Yeah.
She popped up. I think she was hiding behind like a grassy hill, though. Because when the hand left, she did pop up behind it. Like she was watching.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong.
And that's when she wrote down in her book, like, the red
word.
gravy or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Was effective.
How'd you feel about the bully?
Bully. It was a hill in the movie to conquer. Like it wasn't. She didn't feel special or significant by any means. I enjoyed her handling the bully. That was probably better than the bully themselves. Although, if I said so, this little girl makes it really difficult to like want to love her. Mind you, at that time, you've not gotten the full reveal of what's happening.
Yeah, you don't understand why she's acting.
But it's like, man, we're all really trying to be there for you, and you're being just such a dick.
You really don't find out about it. I mean, you have to know something's up, sort of. This is where my mind went, was that like her dad was abusive to her, and he was what the giants were.
Well, and I was curious because, you don't get any parents. You get her brother, and her sister, and that's it.
Yeah.
And her sister's like working a job and trying to take care of the house, and the brother's being a brother, and she's being herself. And
this was the unwoke me, because she started talking about Kovaleski and being a baseball player and stuff, and I was like, oh, like This is someone that her dad told her about when she was younger, and then he started beating them, and so he got arrested or something, and he's what the Giants were then. And that's why she uses baseball to defeat them. And then I find out that it's actually the mom that likes baseball.
So I did, Michael. So I did extra homework and I read the comic also. It's only 7 issues. It was 99 cents per issue. Why not? But in the movie, both of you correct me if I'm wrong, we never mentioned Dad.
No.
Ever.
I don't ever remember hearing about the dad.
In the comic, they do take the time to say, Dad, left us behind. So he ran off to go do what piece of shit dads do. But they did make a point to, and the reason I'm glad that we read the comic, that we watched the movie over reading the comic, and I'm glad I watched the movie over reading the comic, because the comic very early starts leaving hints that it's the mom and something's wrong with her. As opposed to in the movie when you just get to that moment and you're not really sure what's happening still. And because when, what's her friend's name? Sophia, when she takes Sophia upstairs and Sophia sees it and she gets scared and drops the cup and runs off, I was still on what we saw, because at that point I was still not sold that the Giants were in her head.
Yeah, it seemed it was a harbinger.
I thought that there was a monster in that room. Like, that was the moment I was like, oh my gosh, these are real. Because you're not really sure she's crazy or what's happening, because the story's about I kill giants, but I mean, no one believes her that they exist. And I'm like, are they real?
Right. So, quick summary, it's just a story about a girl who is trying to defeat giants, but it's what her brain makes up to deal with the fact that her mother is dying, and she's trying to find a way to cope with it. How did you guys feel about each character? How did you feel about the main character? We'll start there.
I thought she was adorable and quirky, and while annoying, I enjoyed her.
I thought she was obviously dealing with something. She had no parents, from what I knew at the beginning. She was, because they just didn't exist.
She was quite the character.
But she was very independent and very much her own person. Even when there was a bully, she was never afraid of the bully. She was just annoyed. And she was very much her own person.
And she definitely put this weight on herself. And I think one of my favorite parts, even though she was I don't know what I would do if this was my kid, because I'd be so exhausted with trying to get through this kid. Yeah. But when the bully's like, you have to pay a toll, and she spits in her hand, and she's like, that's all I got, keep the change. I was like, this is all right. I'm on your side a little bit more now.
Yeah, I think the reason I liked her is she was just she was her. Like, she wasn't fake about anything. She was 100% whatever she felt like saying she was going to say.
Which is interesting, because she's so blunt and keeps it so real, yet could not deal with the real in her own life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's just to show that you don't know what's ever happening in someone's life.
Right.
They could be putting on this tough exterior because they are dealing with something very traumatic and they don't know how to deal with it. So they're going into the woods and killing giants. Or lighting train cars on fire.
Right.
Shit.
If they're not real, she did that.
We never addressed that after that. We just...
Well, and for a while, I thought maybe that was her imagination also, but then she had traps that the other ones were destroying.
Well, so and Sophia saw it, so, I have to imagine,
How do we feel about Miss Mollet?
Here's the thing. She's real... It's real difficult for me to be on her side when she gets upset about getting slapped in the face. When the girl kept saying, don't touch me, and she kept trying to touch her, and she's like, no, I don't want to talk about this. And she's like, no, you're going to talk to me about this, and she's going to fucking smack. She deserved it.
Well, hold on a second. She didn't get her in trouble. She didn't get her suspended or anything. She said, hey.
She snitched.
To her sister, who she obviously knows this little girl needs help. And she said, as hood as you can, when you talking about someone snitching, she said, you get one. You smack me, that's cool. That's your one. don't put your hands on me again. That was
Yeah.
as good as you can make it.
I wish we would have smacked her again.
And watch what happened.
Give her
Watch
the
what happened on
1-2.
2.
The rope-a-dope.
Nah, 2 would have been on that little girl's behind.
I mean, I imagine the counselor would have had to know that she's dealing, like, what her home life is like.
Right.
Like, why else would she be going to a counselor?
How'd you feel about the whole scene with Ms. Mole's family?
Here's the thing: you don't come up to some child and say that one's gonna die, because that is some ominous shit. Like that is some straight.
She's not incorrect.
That is some.
At some point,
Columbine shit.
she will all die.
Yeah. I mean, that was the real moment. You're like, what is happening? She is just like something
she's
is
off
happening.
the hinges. Yeah.
And you're like, you're gonna figure out what it is eventually. But
Interesting. Family, not in the comic at all.
Really?
It's just the lady. How'd you feel about Karen, the older sister?
Felt bad for her.
yeah, I feel bad for her.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Because it felt like the brother was just a dick.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, he seemed to be about the same age that
Kid
Barbara
too big.
was, the main character.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a couple years
16,
older.
17, in the age where he only cares about himself.
Yeah.
Sophia, what'd you guys think there? Best friend.
She's a snitch too.
I mean,
I would have hit her with my giant
she's
Wait a minute.
new.
You punched
She
me in the
moved.
face.
She did get socked in the face. But you know what? Don't run up on someone behind them.
That's
Don't
your
run up
friend.
on someone behind. No, you don't run up on someone behind them and put your hand on them. They're gonna come swinging.
That's her friend. Hey.
She couldn't hear him. She was tunnel visioned.
Hold on a second. How do you
Doing
blame
a
this
psychosis.
person? Not the person who just turns around and swings the first person inside.
You know what? Because if I'm in that mood, and someone just grabbed my shoulder,
You're always in that mood, man.
I might
Also,
swing too.
Sophia had to know that Barbara's a little odd.
Your best friend's talking about how to kill giants. I mean,
That's the thing too. That's why I felt the worst about it. Is I'm like, man, this little girl did everything she could to be your friend,
fair.
and you were just a jerk, and then punched her in the face. She did feel bad at least, which
Should
was
talk her into
the first
cutting through.
time. Yeah, she did. That was the first time you see her kind of like be nice to anybody.
Well, she had that little note, and she said like, yes, like you can tell like she was like, oh, I do have a friend. She was like tough exterior, but she's got a marshmallow heart.
Yeah.
Real quick about Zoe Saldana. So immediately recognized that it was Gamora, but
Right.
had a flashback moment. Did not realize that she's the girl I had a crush on for so long in Drumline. I don't know that I knew that Gamora was in Drumline.
Well, because nobody remembers Drumline except Nick
I
Cannon.
remember Drumline.
You should not. You
Petey
should
Pablo played at the end.
You should not take any extra brain power to remember Drumline.
The only thing I
It was a
remember
good
about
movie. It's
Drumline
better-
is that Nick
It was a
Cannon
good
in it.
movie,
It was a good movie.
or was it entertaining?
It was entertaining when I was a kid. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Right, because everybody
Oh,
wanted
I
to play
did.
the drums.
I did play the drums at the time.
Well, see, that's
in the
why.
marching band.
You know what's a good movie about drums is Whiplash. I think that's what it's called, Whiplash.
Never heard of that. We're watching that next.
Yeah, nobody likes Nick Cannon.
It's one of those movies that I can't tell if you'll like it or not, Michael.
So it's like every movie.
Yeah, I can't. Michael is just too hard to pick movies for.
Look, I'm a Barbara in this world, okay? I am me.
Oh, who are you losing slowly, and that's what's causing you to be like that?
My mind. Society, my grip on society. Yeah,
Did you
no,
feel-
I'm crazy, man.
How'd you feel about the twists? So, was there a point where you guys thought that there could be actual giants? Like, not did you wish for it? Did you honestly think maybe?
Yeah, when the Sophia dropped the glass in the hallway, I was like, "Oh, our
Yeah,
glass are real. This isn't just our imagination."
I was just on pure faith in Barbara when the Harbingers arrived, and they were like mocking her. I was like, "Oh, this shit's real. I'm on board."
She did speak with quite the conviction that they were real.
They were like, "You're weak and you can't do anything," and she's like, "Oh shit, I gotta kill him." And
Oh.
then she did the train thing, and I'm like, oh, they're not real. Something's wrong. Something's severely wrong.
But it's easier to believe that giants are real, something that you can defeat,
Right.
versus your mom is dying and she's.
Yeah. How'd y'all feel about that twist?
Oh, it was awful. I was like, it makes sense now.
It was pretty gut wrenching.
It made the movie make way more sense.
The only gut wrenching, like, at one point I expected something bad to be what was coming. The gut wrenching part for me was when she was like, the mom was like, "Can this be real?" Like, and she was being playful with her daughter because you don't want to scare your daughter away. But she's like, "Can this be real? Is my daughter really coming to visit me?" And to think that for like the last year, your daughter just has decided, rather than seeing you, just cutting you out of their life.
Yeah,
because it was easier that way.
Yeah,
That's insane.
I think I can clump all that together with just the mom twist in general. That whole third act of finding this out and going through it, and you feel so bad for her all of a sudden. All the times that she was such an ass, you're like, okay, it's fine. It's gonna be okay. And then, so Jennifer and I are watching it, and I'm like, okay, it ended, or she's got into bed with her and they're hugging, and she's going to school, and her and Sophia are talking about the Giants, and then all of a sudden they call her out of the class, and I was like, I don't want to watch this part. I was like, I know what's coming, and I don't want to deal with it. And then the funeral happens, and then she lets Kovaleski go, and you see the Giants at the end, which I guess the Giant was like, hey, do you still need me to kind of cope with everything that's happening? And she's like, no, I'm good. You can go. And then it kind of goes off into the water. But where would either of you rate the movie? 1 to 10.
7.
I'd say higher. I would say like 9. It did a good job of what it was trying to portray. Like, I got the message.
I could put it at an 8. I could see it not being everybody's cup of tea, but I could see a lot of people, and that was the thing too, is because you think comic book movie, and no way was I prepared for the movie that we got.
No, those are some hard life lessons.
Ooh, yeah, it hit hard. Anytime you have to deal with a child, especially dealing with death like that, it's tough.
But I thought it was an interesting take on how someone deals with trauma.
Yeah. So I took screenshots of the actual comic to look at with you guys. Let's see. Little things that I noticed. So here is not the gym teacher, the bully. And she looks a little different. The
bully more looks like the one on the probably your left, but my right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one with the long braids.
Here's them first getting to meet.
Well, hold on a second. I fucking love the way she looks.
Barbara?
Oh, yeah. She looks like Momo.
She does. Those are her little ears that I want to say are in this all the time. They never go away.
Do they explain the ears?
No, not at all. I'm trying to do things in order that will be okay. You know what? I'll do this.
I wish I knew why she had the ears.
Same reason Louise has them. As a coping mechanism.
Oh.
Okay, let me do this one.
I'd assume it's something from her childhood that she holds on to.
Here is her.
Into Louise and like her issues, but she very obviously has also issues and has ears because she had them. It's like a comfort item. I would assume that's the reason, or just to make her look crazy.
Right. Here's that famous I find giants, I hunt giants, I kill giants. Let's see. I
did enjoy her sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Like it definitely gave her that something to kill her time with.
Right. Here is what the gym teacher looked like. Slightly different.
Who is the publisher?
I believe Image. I might have to double check.
I'll pull it up while you're looking at this.
So the gym teacher has a bit rougher look to her.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed that scene though.
So would you enjoy the scene if this was the joke that it said? It says, Miss Lackey, did you always know that you were a bull dyke? Or was that something you figured out after your first vagina?
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's a different joke.
I thought that you would feel that way.
I honestly, I think I would have laughed even harder. But do I think it's appropriate? Probably not.
What's funny is, like, yeah, we definitely pulled that back for the movie.
Yeah.
Here's what the Giants look like in her mindset. See, and that's what I was saying. Like, in here, you could tell very early on that it's her imagination.
Oh yeah, those
Yeah.
It makes it very clear that.
I imagine it being hard to make them look like that, though. It's
Yeah.
interesting that there's different creatures, though. I kind of like that.
Yeah, there's. I don't know. Have a picture of them, but
It's like probably fairies.
yeah, there's little fairies that run around. She talks to. She still clocks the shit out of her friend. That remains the same.
It is made by Image, by the way, or published by Image.
Boom. Here's the Titan, because the Titan was the big bad, right? The
Mhm.
scariest
Yeah.
of the scary.
Which presumably is because it was nearing her death, I guess.
Yeah.
I imagine the other giants were just
Oh,
things
yeah.
you had to deal with, like bullies and dumb things, and Titan is like death.
And then
It's a big boy. It's a beefy boy.
here is her slapping the mess out of her teacher.
Jeez.
I really like the art style on her, at least on her so far. It reminds me kind of Tank Girl-ish. I don't know if you ever read the comic book
Yeah.
with her.
That slap is a little more aggressive than it is in the show, in the movie.
So here's the first time you get to, and this is in her mind still, of how she's imagining it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
So very early in the comic, do you get an idea that something's happening?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That it's not, because the picture that I showed you with the monsters all around her, that
Yeah.
was like the last page of issue 1.
Oh.
So very early, you get the understanding that it's not something she's just making. Like, you know, it's just something that she's seeing on her end. But I thought that picture was.
I feel like Image does a really good job of finding some serious and very less superhero-ish comics to do.
Mhm. Here's what they did every time they were talking about her mother passing away, but they didn't want to either. It was like her.
I really liked when they did that in the movie. When
Yeah.
Sophia was like, she brought up her mom, and like all of a sudden you just couldn't hear anything.
Yeah. So this is how they did it in the comic. It says, I cannot deal with you going psycho, Barbara, while upstairs are, and then you don't get to hear anything else, but you can just tell that they're talking about something serious.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like I imagine in writing that's how you would do that. Here is, this is Sophia kind of figuring out actually what happened.
I'm curious if the typist actually had to, or like the letterer actually had to write in the letters and then scratch them out. I know that's a weird thing to think about, but like I imagine that adds more realness to it.
I probably would. I mean, if it was me.
Yeah.
Not that
Yeah.
I will ever get the chance to.
Also, I realize it's kind of sad now that because the monster upstairs says her name a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to realize that's her mom trying to
Calling out for her.
call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does that in the comic a lot too. You'll see it'll start at the top left and it'll say Barbara all the way down. Here is Kovaleski at full capacity.
That picture. Oh, that's kind of cool. I like the
Nice.
way that looks. The picture you just showed, it reminded me. It was weird to me that the picture of her mom uses a picture of a giant over her mom's face. So I didn't think of her mom as being a monster. While watching the movie, I didn't think like it was her mom that was the monster. I always assumed it was like whatever illness it was or like death itself was the monster. So it was weird for her to visualize her mom being the one that's the actual monster.
Right.
Yeah. I kind of saw that as her mom was taken over by a monster. Because she's not her mom anymore. She's
That's fair.
someone who's very sick.
Here's destroying the Titan.
The nip slip on that Titan.
A little bit. A little bit of the nip slip.
Nice.
Uh,
Demonetization.
Here is, it's about to get a little sadder.
Funeral.
Here is the scene getting into bed with her mother.
Ah,
Oh.
I know. Right? Here is the funeral scene when we let Kovaleski go, which I thought was like one of the harder hitting moments because that's what she used to get through it, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Here is two more. Here is saying goodbye to the Titan.
I kind of wondered if Kovaleski had a sentimental meaning before everything had happened, or if it was just something she made.
Well, and that's the other thing too that I noticed in the movie. We get her playing the tape, and you hear
Mm-hmm.
her and her mom kind of like their commentators.
Mm-hmm.
In the comic, obviously they don't do it that way. She explains Kovaleski and how, you know, he had to come in and beat the giants. They called him the giant killer, and they have to kind of tell the story a little bit differently than just being able to play a tape like you would in the movie and being
Right.
like, okay, it makes perfect sense.
Right.
And then the last photo is the last page where we're stronger than we think, and she's laying in her mom's bed.
A little fairy
nice.
doing what looks to be maybe work, or is that a hammer?
It looks like a hammer.
So does that mean she hasn't gotten over her?
Oh, it's like a fairy with a hammer?
Well, if you look, there's one right here too, to the
Yeah.
bottom right.
Like a weird voodoo doll thing?
So I'm wondering if that means she's not over her delusions.
Yeah, but so I will say, reading the comic and watching the movie is probably the most faithful adaptation I think I've seen of anybody's comic movie. My second closest, I think, would have been Watchmen, but then they wussed out at the end and didn't put the giant killer octopus. But
What about X-Men Dark Phoenix?
you're right. That changes everything. It doesn't change anything.
It doesn't change anything.
But no, I
wasn't saying
really
Seven
enjoyed
like it was a bad movie, by the way. I didn't watch that. I
Oh,
think
no.
only because I don't have rewatchability in it. I think it was a really good movie. I highly suggest it to everybody that's willing to watch a movie. It is sad.
It is. It is a little sad, and that's why I think it doesn't have the rewatchability.
Right.
Nobody wants that feeling over and over again.
Nobody's watching Dallas Buyers Club a bunch of times. Shit goes down.
Yeah, I wouldn't go watch it again on purpose, but it was really good.
But like I'm saying, so if you watched it by yourself and you were like, Derek, this is a really good movie, and you put it, like, I could see you watching it, sitting with him, enjoying
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
I'm willing
I'd
to
probably
put,
look for things that I hadn't noticed before because I didn't know the ending of the movie.
Right.
I'm willing to put my, like, in order to get someone to watch it, I'd be willing to watch it if that's what it took. You know what I mean? Like, if someone's like, I don't want to watch it, I'm like, no, I'll watch it with you. Let's go watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if I was talking about it and somebody was at the house, I'd put it on.
Yeah.
Hey, watch this.
Yeah. And then I'd go make food or something.
I can't look at it. I can't look
Yeah,
directly.
I'd come in for a couple of scenes. I really enjoyed that she had like Ewok style traps throughout the forest.
Yeah. What was your favorite scene?
I enjoyed the moment where she pranked the bully.
I didn't even think that was that bad. Like, that bully lost her shit, but I was like,
it
oh,
really
that's a
wasn't
pretty
that bad,
harmless
but
prank.
Yeah. I just enjoyed that she stood up for herself. Like, she didn't let people walk all over her. But I think that was also a front for
Right.
the rest of the nonsense she was dealing with. Like, a bully is the least of her worries. I don't know. I enjoyed when she got to fight the Titan with Kowaleski.
It was interesting because it almost seemed like other people could also see the fight.
Yeah.
Well, and they even left it off at the end when Sophia's like, oh yeah, but she also did this.
Oh, in the comic, there's a huge storm, and she's missing for like 3 days. So they're like, okay, we've searched the beach all we can. We're about to turn off the search party, and then she comes back home.
Yeah, when she was fighting the Titan and she was being pulled down in the water, I was like, did she just die?
I thought she was gonna die.
Yeah.
I thought that could have been a thing that was gonna happen. That she was just crazy and was gonna die. Because we still didn't know that her mom was like, we knew something was up, but we didn't at that point know that her mom was sick.
I thought we did because at that
She
point,
said, you're not going to take my mother.
Zoe Saldana went to her when she was getting like the dead rats and putting them in the bag, and was like, I don't want to use black magic. And she was like, your mom is sick and she wants to see you. I thought that scene was before the giant fight.
Possible.
I think that's when you find out that her mom is.
It all kind of like around the same time.
Yeah.
I think
because that's when she confronts her fears with the giant.
Right.
My favorite scene, I think, would be when Sophia really realizes that her friend's batshit crazy. And I think that's the moment when, again, she's out in the woods and the trap, she's like, why didn't this trap work? And she pulls something and then just all of a sudden this giant log comes and slams into a tree. And Sophia's face is like, maybe I should have been friends with Taylor. In
Sophia's defense, you were just poking a dead deer. That's serial killer shit.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. 90% of the things she did was serial killer shit. Like, hey, come look at my little lair that I have. And she'd come into the lair and like, she's like, this is how I would murder things. This is my secret weapon. Like that.
For a while, I'd be like, oh, we're playing pretend. And then I'd be like, oh, this is getting weird.
When you start poking the dead deer, shit. What did I get into?
Yeah, when she started poking that dead deer, I was like, and then she saw the Harbingers, and I was like, well, maybe she's onto something.
Man. Yeah, the Sophia at the end saying, oh, and she did this. I don't know. Kind of guess leaves it open to, hey, maybe they're still real.
I think it was more of like a
solidarity.
I support you.
Yeah.
Like, don't give up who you are type thing, because she gave a very neutral, normal answer.
When you can see
I rested. Yeah, I rested. I spent time with my mom, and she's like, "And you killed a giant."
Yeah,
don't let that shit go by.
Yeah, you're the girl who wears bunny ears.
She didn't look crazy. She didn't have her bunny ears anymore, and she very much cleaned up her presence. And I could see that. But I think also it might have just been like the little bit of hope that maybe the giants are real. I don't know. The
giants aren't real, Michael. Let it go.
I'd be willing to.
I left that movie thinking, you don't really know if they're real or not.
See? I'd be willing to support and back a Kickstarter in which we bring back Barbara, and like it's a alternate dimension kind of situation where someone comes and goes, shit, we need help killing giants. Does anybody know who can help us? And she's like, I mean, I've been there, so let's do it.
Only if she's like in a train with her feet up reading a newspaper. And it's like, I can.
I guess I'll have to come out of retirement. It's like a Rambo moment.
She puts on the bunny ears.
Oh my god, yes. Okay, good image on. Get them on the line.
I'll dial the number I have for them.
Yep.
I don't know what I'll get out of it.
We're that good, guys.
Yeah, no, I think it was a positive.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
definitely.
it.
Agreed.
For sure.
I think
would
most
recommend
people
it to
should watch
anybody.
that movie.
Yeah, I would recommend it to anybody. Having said that, knowing that her mom is dying at the end kind of takes away from it. But
Yes. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen it, we're really sorry. As if you've watched this whole thing and you haven't seen it yet and you want to see it, put a comment down below. Cleve's not opposed to doing a Netflix watch party with you at this point. Oh, it's Hulu. We'd find a way. We'll do a Hulu watch party.
a Hulu Zoom,
Yeah.
baby.
There's a copyright issue somewhere in there.
Not
But
if we change the name.
That's
What
right.
if it's a Zulu?
I slay bigger people.
Part 2.
That just sounds like someone's going around killing fat people. That's not good. Yikes, dog. If you guys did like or see the movie already, let us know what you guys thought down below. Were the Giants real? I think so.
I think no.
Also, also let us know what you'd rate it out of 10. Is it a 7, 8, or 9? I think those are the 3 ratings.
Those are your options.
1 through 10. I give it a 7. Stephanie gave it a 9. Cleve gave it an 8. We're not wrong, so it's one of those 3. You pick.
That's impressive because that means that was almost a perfect movie for Stephanie.
That's why I'm always. I've told you before. I'm very, very pessimistic about rating anything a 10. There is no such thing as the perfect movie. They have to strive.
It's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's not Nightmare Before Christmas. God, it's definitely not The Nightmare Before Christmas. Do you want to do
I think
this
it's Forrest Gump.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
No.
Don't worry. The fan page is still going strong, guys. It's me.
I check in on it on a 30-minute basis.
You guys still agree? And then I just replied back, yeah!
I just think it was an interesting concept for a movie, and it really does a very good job of showcasing how a child would cope with trauma in a very like a good way. Like it shows how someone copes.
I don't know if it was a good way to deal with it.
But
No, it's not how she copes is not a good way. It portrays
interesting.
it well.
It's an interesting way to deal with it for sure.
Saying that, Stephanie, did you ever see Pan's Labyrinth or Sucker Punch?
I haven't seen either of those. I want to see Pan's Labyrinth.
I would suggest at least Pan's Labyrinth because I think that's actually a really good movie.
I just have to watch it when I have time to pay attention because it's subtitled.
Yes, and it's a little creepy. There's some, but
okay. I like
very similar concept, and although I guess it kind of ruins it for you, and I apologize, but very similar concept where like there are traumatic things happening, and that's how they cope with it. Is this fantastical world?
I knew that. I knew
Sucker Punch. You don't have to go see it. It's the same thing, but as I stated before, it is not well received in the communities.
Sucker Punch is the only title that I could use as a review. Like you think you're gonna go and watch this like good movie, and then Sucker Punch.
Visually, it was quite stunning. It was a similar style to.
They did use special effects. You're right.
I don't know. I can't even put it to something. I don't know. It's different. It's unique. It's weird. It kind of like almost comic book like.
Is it based on anything? Do you know? I don't get sidetracked.
I don't know.
Because maybe that's why it got the hate, is because maybe it diverted from source material. Anyway, let us know what you think about the movie on our social media. We have a Facebook, we have an Instagram, we have a Twitter. Twitter is Friendship with No Eyes, because all eyes are typically on our YouTube channel. You go to YouTube and you just search Friendship Supreme. We also have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/Friendship Supreme. Stephanie, talk about the tiers for the Patreon.
There's a $1 level if you just love us because you want to support us. There's a $5 level, which is extra jalapeno.
Ooh, extra content. So spicy.
And there's some more levels where I make you a pop or something, or we go have lunch. I don't know.
Shit.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Because extra jalapeno, I think, is the last one. You always add jalapenos on the end of your nachos. You don't ever put it in the beginning, you mad woman.
Oh man,
Okay,
you,
maybe it's
you
not
hide them
that
underneath like little landmines.
Yeah, you gotta put the nachos on there, and then you gotta put the jalapenos, and then cover them in cheese.
Yeah, that way when you bite into a chip, you get a nice surprise.
Yeah.
But that is our thoughts on I Kill Giants. I would still recommend it, even knowing the ending, because I think just watching her go through it, it's a nice little adventure. I forgot what Michael's looking up.
So weirdly,
nothing for this.
No, I mean I can talk about it real quick. So weirdly, Sucker Punch, no, doesn't seem like it was derived from anything. But you know who the director was of it? Zack motherfucking Snyder. And you know that Zack Snyder cut's coming out.
Are we going to do a Zack Snyder's cut for this?
You god dang right we're going to do it.
Oh, I'm making that post right now. Hold on.
Definitely make sure to join our Patreon, guys. We have all kinds of cool exclusive content on there. I've been Michael.
This is Cleve.
This is Stephanie.
And we find giants, we hunt giants, we kill giants.
Because the giants are real. Better believe if some child came up to me and was like, he's gonna die. The fuck you said?
Michael, I thought she has no room to get upset. Remember
no.
what happened?
Oh,
What
no.
happened? What happened?